Okay.
Hi everybody, this is Ron Hatton Gadgetman, sitting here out back of the beautiful Pomeroy building in Mesa, Arizona, 136 West Main Street. A little overcast, a little light drizzle today. It's beautiful. And we're sitting here today with a couple of gentlemen who are just going to talk about the Gadgetman Groove. First of all, would you care to introduce yourself, sir?
Yes, my name is Shields Fair. I live in Scottsdale, Arizona.
Marvelous, Shields. And you, sir?
My name is Bob Booth. I live in Fountain Hills, Arizona.
No, marvelous. So now
12 miles east.
What?
12 miles north of here.
12 miles north of here. All right. Let me back up here and get both you guys on camera. Now, what we're going to do here today, guys, is Shields has offered to just interview a customer of mine, Mr. Booth, whose van I modified a few weeks ago. 4 weeks ago, was it? Okay. And anyway, they're just going to talk, and we're going to see what happens. Okay. All right, John, go ahead.
So you said you had this done 4 weeks ago.
Yes.
And how did you happen to find out about the Gadgetman?
I ran into him at a car auction, a cruise car auction out in Phoenix, Arizona. And I read the flyer, and right off the bat I thought it was a gimmick like I've seen at J.C. Whitney and many car magazines over the years. And I went out and saw Ron talking with 2 or 3 other people, and I just stood there and I listened. And it actually made some sense to me where I was going to, and there was no discussion of money at that point, how much it would cost. I was just very interested in the theory of better emissions on the vehicle and better mileage and more power. I mean, that's 3 big things. If you could increase any of them or improve on any of those, it would really be a big improvement for any car, anyone's car, in my opinion. So, being the skeptic that I am, and I think 95% of most people are, I said, I have to see more. And luckily, there was a lady there from California who was going to have her car done. And so I actually watched the process, and I was amazed on how simple it was and yet how technical it is. And my biggest question was, why hasn't an engineer thought about this to do this? And I didn't know any of the results yet, because I just saw what Ron did to this other person's car. It was a foreign car, like a Subaru or something. I don't really remember, but I remember it was a foreign car. So he did it, and they put it on, and she took it out for a test drive. It all took about 1 hour, and she came back and says, yeah, it's running real good. In fact, I went for her in a test drive, and it felt faster to her. She certainly didn't know what kind of mileage she was going to be getting, but it ran good. So I agreed to let him do mine, my big E350 van, which is tough to get to. Anything to do on that, on a van, it's hard to get to that engine. So Ron did it, and I took it out for a drive, and I was very upset. When I came back, the car was not running good, and I said there's something wrong with the transmission. And Ron says, oh, just open the hood, and it was a vacuum line or something that was off. And he put it back on in less than a minute, and he said, try it again. And I took it out, and this woman went with me also, she could tell I was very upset because I thought something was wrong with my transmission. And anyway, I took it out, and it was 100% different. It was running very good, and the transmission was back to normal. Because I've had the car for 13 years, and I know what normal is with my van. And that's about it. I couldn't wait to let the gas tank run out to exactly at half, and it took. I divided my mileage, the mileage that I did go was 230 miles, which was normally 200 into the fuel, and I could see that I had better mileage. I'm on my second tank now, and I'm actually another 20 miles higher than I was in the same spot. It's almost to the halfway mark, and I'm almost 250 miles on this second tank. But again, I don't use my van daily, and I don't use it that much. But the next one, I'm going to let it run all the way dry and see how far I go, because I normally was going 400 miles on the tank of gas, and I think when I run the whole tank, it's going to be 500 the next one.
That's good.
And that's about it.
Very impressive. Well, my experience is that I came over to see the Gadgetman about something entirely different, totally unrelated to this. I didn't even know what he was doing. And we started talking about the other subject that I wanted to talk about, which was HHO technology. And he said, well, I got this other thing I want to show you. And he had a bunch of boxes sitting in his office there that were post boxes, and he had them opened up, and they were full of carburetors. So he hands me a stack of them, and he says, come on over with me. He says, I'm going to modify these, and I want you to come with me. So we walked over to his area where he was working on the cars, laid them all out on the table. In the meantime, two other guys fly over, sitting over there in the vehicles. He goes up, climbs in under the hood, unbolts the carburetors, takes them out, lays them out on the bench, proceeds to perform his magic on these. And I have to tell you, it is a science. It's like anything else. A good surgeon knows where to cut, the bad one doesn't. And the Gadgetman knew exactly where to cut and made these changes on these carburetors. And I was pretty fascinated. I was just watching the process. And then there was a gentleman there from Russia who had come over specifically to meet him in December, and had been here, I guess, about the early part of December, as I understand. His name was Alex Sloan. And Alex had actually bought a set of tools from Gadgetman and learned how to do the technology and got the training. And he went back to Moscow, and as he explained to me that he had got a bunch of his friends together and did 17 cars in the course of just a short period of time, and made a pretty nice little chunk of change out of that. In the meantime, he wound up doing another approximately 14 or 15 more before he came back over here. And then he was in the process of going to expand his operations in Moscow and Russia using this technology to do Gadgetman. Anyway, while I'm standing there listening to this and watching all this activity going on, Gadgetman says, hey, let me do your vehicle too. Well, I've got a 2003 Ford Windstar with a throttle body. And the lifts up the hood, unbolts the throttle body, sets it out on the workbench there, gets out his magic tool.
You got about 2 minutes left.
Makes the changes on it, and puts it back in the vehicle. And by the way, before we started that, he had me get out on the street. He sat next to me. This is before we made the modification. He said, all right, now I want you to come to a dead stop in the car, and I want you to gun it. It's like you're drag racing. And we did, and of course the car sort of peeled out and ran. Well, we got the modification done approximately 45 minutes later. We got back in the car again. He says, all right, now I want you to do this again. And I have to tell you, I probably said the same thing everybody else did. I said, holy Christ, this is something else. This was really amazing. And we got out on the freeway shortly thereafter, and we were buzzing along down the freeway on the 202 freeway in Mesa, Arizona, and heading east. And I was doing about 70 miles an hour, and he says, all right, now, he says, floorboard. And I did, and it put me back in my seat. So that car really had some serious power. And as far as the gas mileage is concerned, I've just now gone a little over 100 miles. I filled the tank up first. I went approximately 100 miles, filled up the tank again, and I'm keeping accurate records on the amount of fuel that I'm using. Anyway, don't have a real assessment of how that's going to be yet, because right now I'm so full of power that I'm probably not driving the car as good as I should be, because I'm having fun being a teenager again. And anyway, I got 14 miles a gallon that time, but I'm expecting this is going to go way up.
Now, we're going to pause for just a second here. We're going to make this in 2 parts. Okay, so this Gadgetman saying, hang on one.